Greetings everyone, my name is Jonathan. I'm going to go over a recent controversy about Angry Joe. My channel was originally going to be about knight stuff and so forth and armor. But this came out as a controversy I wanted to discuss to you because it's really it's affecting men around the world, and this is an important subject for it. Now, I've known Angry Joe since around 2009 or earlier before that, and just in watching his videos and stuff. So I don't see him as this person that this girl named Ashley has written about him on allegations that she's made. And it's, once you go through it and read it, it sounds more BS than anything. She paints herself as a victim, and she tries to paint Joe as in a negative light. Every single conversation, every single event that goes on, it's always like that. Angry Joe's negative, and she's more positive in this. At least she tries to be, and through her own understanding. So my question is, what's the motive behind this? Well, obviously, for Angry Joe's motive that he is accused of in this is that his motive is that he's interested, he wants to be with her, and he wants to sleep with her. That's the accused motive, and which is fine, I guess. I mean, it's not always the most pure motive. The only time he indicates that he wants to sleep with her is his invitation in the shower. So it's like nothing on beyond that. It is really clear, strong evidence that him forcing himself. So, and Ashley's motive is unknown. We don't know her motive. We don't know what's the point of writing this, other than what she says, that she was inspired by other girls coming out about streamers. And this tells me that she could have the wrong type of motive on the reason why she's coming out. Like, other girls are coming out, and I want to be a part of this movement. I want to be a victim. I want to have attention. She also says that she has nothing to lose by coming out. That tells me that she has everything to gain. Those are suspicious reasonings on why I should have my guard up on while reading this. So, like, not that I'm saying that everything that she has is absolutely false, is going to be a reason to believe, not to believe her, but there is good reasons why you should be very suspicious. Not why this sounds completely fake and fabricated. The messages that she had that could have been fabricated from whoever this other person was, and I don't deny the validity of Angry Joe's conversation between her and him and her, and it seems like that's a possible, reasonable belief. But here's the other thing. She also confesses to be a constant liar in this. She's a constant liar. She's painted her character as a constant liar. Her reputation in this is that she's a liar. And we'll see on one more. I'm not going to go read everything. I wrote down all this because there's a lot of problems I have with this story. I'm not going to read it. You can read the story. She's gone back and deleted the conversation between her and Joe, but I did go back on YouTube to make sure I'm not missing any information on that, because there are videos on it. So she meets Angry Joe. We don't know exactly what happened, how she met Angry Joe, what happened all in the event. And she was apparently in some sort of intoxication of alcohol, whether she was drinking with Joe or whether she was drinking prior to that, we don't know. And she was saying, like, one of her conversations, what she has with Joe in the first contact is like less alcohol, more time to talk. I don't know what happened in between that. Leads questionable, like what happened between you and Joe during that time. I don't know. She comes onto Angry Joe in her first contact with him on the text and message. Say, it sounds a little bit flirty, and Angry Joe responds in kind. And it shows a similar interest, like, I'm interested, you're a cutie type of thing. And then she says she hopes to see him again. Ashley gives Joe also positive reassurance, which is a good thing, because Angry Joe was saying that his panel might suck because he didn't prepare for it. So she's giving him a reassurance, which is great. It's fine, no problem. Joe invites her to dinner, and the panel starts at 5, dinner after the panel. So the panel is starting at around, it doesn't say exactly what time, 5 a.m., 5 p.m., I'm going to assume 5 p.m. because of obvious reasons. It doesn't sound like it would be reasonable to be 5 a.m. in the morning. So 5 p.m. is the panel, I'm assuming. You can always go back and see how long the panel is. This is a problem throughout the entire story. There's no given time frames through everything. Hours and hours will go by and you won't even know it. So Joe invites her to dinner and Ashley accepts with eagerness. Okay, she was eager to say, "Yeah, I'll be there at the control panel. I will go with you to dinner, um, and so forth." And it's like this is the thing. It's like, well, we find out that Ashley has a boyfriend, right? And that's going to be a problem. So the immediate problems with this is not just with this conversation. This conversation is fine, except for the fact that she has a boyfriend and doesn't say anything. Um, Problems with this is Alan. Like when we get to the first problem, I notice is Alan. Okay, I don't know if that's his name or not, but that's what she indicates as the. That's she identifies the suspect as right now. So Alan is her friend. It's not her boyfriend. It's her friend. So let's make that a clear understanding that this is not her boyfriend. So this is a problem now already. Why is that? Because she doesn't indicate why she's here with Alan and not her boyfriend. Her boyfriend is not here with her. That I know of. You know, she never says anything. She's here at a PAX event with a guy named Alan who goes staying at the same Airbnb with her. She doesn't ever indicate where her boyfriend is at all the time, like whether her boyfriend's at the event or not. So this is a girl who goes out with another dude that is not her boyfriend and staying with us at the same place with him. So that kind of indicates like this is a suspicious character, like what kind of girl what kind of values that she has. So, and she contacted Joe. That's another thing. She's the first one to make contact with Joe in the messaging. So obviously she was interested in catching up. She shows and displays that interest. She shares that interest. She wants to get to meet him again and have contact with them and grow into whatever relationship they have. So, and here's another thing. She claims to be oblivious and that she doesn't suspect any ill intentions from Joe, which you shouldn't expect any ill intentions. You know, there's nothing to show it. But she's oblivious when Joe asks her out to dinner. I'm like, dude, at that point when Joe asks you out to dinner, you should have set some boundaries to it. You should have put some boundaries on there and said, hey, you know, just to let you know, I have a boyfriend. Let's not make this more than it is, or something down that line. Like, hey, just to let you know, I do have a boyfriend. You know, show that like, hey, this is my boundaries. So let's be professional. Let's be keep this friendship restriction. She doesn't say any of this, and that's a problem that comes later on. So, I mean, even if you believe everything that she says, this is all problematic. Even if this is all true, this is all problematic. It doesn't like even if this was all true, Joe did nothing really severely wrong. Like nothing legally wrong. There's nothing really wrong with this. At the most, Joe is just like failed. This show to be failed. Has poor game when it comes to girls, or at least in this incident. So I mean, one incident we all made bad mistakes in dating, and we learn from them. So I'm not going to say that Joe is just like completely guilty of everything of being a sleazeball, and that's how he is. I don't think that's how he is with everything. So Angry Joe took. So here's another problem. She's with her friend Alan in the control panel, and after Q&A, I'm assuming that the whole thing could have been an hour and a half, maybe up to 2 hours. It doesn't say how long the panel was, how Q&A was, and then Angry Joe just comes out of nowhere. All right, it doesn't have how that she knows that she doesn't describe how Angry Joe knows where she is. Doesn't describe how she is recognized by Angry Joe. They're wearing the exact same thing. Or like, just Angry Joe just comes out of nowhere and takes her, like, pull her from Alan, and like basically drags her to the corridor with security. And how Alan didn't know, like just looked at her as she was being pulled off. Like, what the hell just happened? I mean, I understand that. I've actually kind of experienced something similar like that, but. That was more like a guy picking up a girl and just walking off with her. I was like, what the hell? But, you know, I mean, at no point does she say, hey, stop, resist, or, no, she willingly goes with him. I mean, you're secured by security. So if you put up a resistance, you know, you got security there to you know, who are going to witness this. So this is a good opportunity time to Say, hey, can I bring my friend? That's my friend over there. Can I, be a good friend and not ditch him? It honestly sounds like you just willingly ditched Alan, and this is a problem because all I know from this girl is that she ditched her boyfriend for Alan, and now she's ditching Alan for Joe. I mean, that's what I can take a look at, and that's how I can see this as. So that's a problem for me. And Joe says, I can't believe you came. I'm like, oh, so he doesn't know that you came? I'm like, so how did he know that you were there? And he didn't have evidence suspecting that you were there. He was looking for you constantly throughout his... Dude, the guy is on the control panel. He's not going to be searching the crowd. He has a lot of things to be distracted on. I mean, more to it if he has that capability of being focused on two things at once. But that's a kind of a big focus on to give a... You have to be kind of subconsciously aware of what you're talking about, how the subject is, and so forth, and that they're doing the Q&A, what the questions and how they're going to answer it. So, I mean, it's kind of weird that Angry Joe just picked her out from the crowd and was able to snipe her out. And, there's problems. There's a lack of detail here. She needed this, and this is a problem throughout the story, that there's a lack of detail in a lot of places, and she doesn't clarify them. She doesn't detail them. And so it becomes a problem. And what else? Where am I? She says she's oblivious to Joe in a lot of cases. She makes assumptions and stating that the situation through moving out. Like, one assumption that he's bragging. Like, he could have just been telling her that, of course, like, his fame, that, like, oh yeah, if I, don't go through these areas and I'll get swarmed by people, fans and so forth. And that's true. If me wearing armor, I get swarmed by people. Sometimes if you want to move through situations, like, especially if you have a popularity thing over your head, you have to be smart about it. You have to be able to make those decisions. You have to be able to get through places without being swarmed if you want to move. So I don't know if that's him bragging. I can't tell you for sure or not. But I mean, she tries to paint him as she tries to paint Joe here as a prideful person. She tries to paint herself as a humble person by saying, well, I only have a few. Like, later on when she gets in the cab, like, I only have a few followers and blah blah blah, and like, I'm just a humble streamer, can't afford dinner, and like, what did I get myself into? So, you put yourself in this position, so I'm not gonna be, no. Enjoy the ride and put yourself in this position, get to know the Joe that you wanted to hang out with, and you're so eagerly wanting to hang out with. And I think it's cool, even if I did think he was a prick. I'm like, okay, it was cool to get to know you. No, let's not hang out, right? So, she tries to indicate that Joe did a phone trick and your choice. Like, why would this be a problem? Like, seriously, like, you wanted to have contact with him, and why would this be a problem? You clearly have him have a message, and so he can message you if he gets lost in you, like, hey, where did you go on dinner or something like that. It's like, if you ever get lost there, it's like, who cares if he has your phone number? I'm like, at worst, if you hate him, just block him. If you absolutely hate him, just block him. It doesn't matter. All right? At no time does she bother to text her boyfriend and Alan at all. Okay, this is the problem. She's in this cab with him. She has all the time to text her friend Alan, who she just ditched, or text her boyfriend to tell her where she's at and she's going to be with Angry Joe. No point does she do this, even when she gets to the hotel, which I will get into in a minute if my phone's it's about to stop recording. So let us talk about the hotel scene. Okay, this is very suspicious. All right, she gets into a hotel where she thought, well, we're going to a restaurant. Okay, well, I guess you didn't listen to Joe tell the cab driver where to go. I don't know what happened on that part. Whatever. Maybe he just told the address and she didn't assume nothing of it. All right. Well, he invites her to come into the hotel, and she goes up into a hotel with him. All right. And she says she's waiting down the hallway. Okay, here's the problem. She goes into the hotel with him. All right. Doesn't say she has a boyfriend. No. Hey, are you trying to sleep with me? I have a boyfriend. Don't you know? She says this is like, I don't want to be that girl, but hey, let's set some boundaries here. Let's make Joe aware that you have a fucking boyfriend. Let's just do that, right? That's never established. She's standing in the hallway awkwardly, and other Joe is apparently here and says, "Hey, come in." And so does Joe say, "Hey, come on, you can come inside." So here's the thing: there are two people in there other than her, other Joe, and Joe. Apparently, other Joe just disappears, and this is a problem. Like, where did other Joe go? When did he leave? Where was he the entire time? This is a detail that's missing out. And that's a problem, because here we have other Joe that witnessed everything. We should have either, if he was there, he witnessed everything, and if he wasn't, then where was he and when did he leave? You know, this is like, how long did they stay in this hotel? She doesn't say, and then it just goes into Joe is going to go into the shower, and he invites her to join him, and she says, instead in her mind, it's like, haha, are you trying to sleep with me? I have a boyfriend, you know. And like, hello, you could have said, you know, sorry, my boyfriend wouldn't have appreciated that. You know, I'm not going to cheat on my boyfriend. You know, anything to say that you had a boyfriend to this guy who's made a move on you, you did not do. You just say, haha, you're funny, la. I'm like, dude, that's not going to tell him that, one, it's not going to tell him that you're not interested. This is telling him you're not going to go sleep with them on the first date. You're not going to just go into the shower with them and have sex with them. That's what it tells you. And he says, well, if you assume that I'm not joking, you can, the offer's on the table, something like down that line, right? So it's always made it clear to her that he's interested and it's not a joke. If she wants to sleep with him, as you can. And then what did she say? She says she's standing and pacing while waiting for Joe. First off, why, no, you have this plenty of opportunity to text Alan, text your boyfriend, all that. It's like, this is ample time. This is clear indication that you had all the time in the world to do this. All the time in the world. And you don't do it? Come on, mate. Clearly, some issues here. So, what can I say? You know, you're pacing and standing, and you're not texting anyone where you're at. This tells me that one, that pacing is an awkward term to use. She just was invited to have sex with Joe. She's now suddenly pacing in his room. Okay, she doesn't say like what her reply was on the second time, but when he made it clear to her that it wasn't a joke. So, in my mind, I'm picturing her. She's thinking about it. She is considering going in the shower with Joe. She is considering it. That's why she's pacing. That's why she's not texting her boyfriend. That's why she's not texting her friend Alan. That is my suspicion. This is what I'm thinking from this. Because at no time does she text or contact Alan, and no time, like, where is other Joe in this? Alright? So in my mind, this is a very suspicious behavior. She's pacing, and she's probably considering sleeping with Joe. That's what I'm assuming from this. So, and she's willing to win in this hotel. And it's like, dude, it's common sense not to go into a hotel with a dude that you don't want to sleep with. So why would you go into his room? Why? Why would you go in there? It's stupid. It's just stupid. You're going to claim oblivious and no hidden attention. He's already made his attention clear to you that he would like to sleep with you there. So, I mean, it's stupid, that part. And let's go into, what's it? Is it over here? All right. So she always tries to play victim and like the innocent part. Like, you walk into a hotel. This is your choice. Like, you got into the cab with Joe. It's your choice. You walk down that corridor. It was your choice. You willingly are participating in all this. You're not an innocent victim. You're not holding yourself accountable to any of these situations. You're not being responsible. And are you really that oblivious? You know, stupidity can't just justify every excuse for you to make. You know, you can't just constantly make, you can't constantly make this conversation that I'm too stupid to exist. You know, I don't know what a guy asking me out for dinner is. Like, do you have a boyfriend, right? You know the point where he asked you out at some point? I'm assuming he asked you out unless you asked him out. I mean, come on, that's kind of how dating works. Someone has to make a move. and whether you have, you fail to indicate that you have a boyfriend, and so he has no idea why, he has no idea his boundaries. He's pushing. He may think you're interested, and you're not showing any disinterest. You're not showing any resistance. You're not telling him that you're not interested. You're not telling him that you have a boyfriend. This doesn't make sense. And I mean, we already talked about where's the other Joe, and then and Angry Joe comes out of the shower dressed up, and he didn't come out naked. He came out dressed up, and he sits down next. He invites her to come over and sit next to him, so he show her stuff on the phone. He's not showing news or anything. He's just showing her car and so forth like that. And she's like, "Well, he forced me to be next to him." I was like, "Okay." Oh, he took a selfie of me. Okay, but you willingly participated in all this. You willingly came over next to him and sat down there and watched and looked through his phone, because that's how you're going to share information when you have a phone on you. Like, hey, check this out. I'm not going to, hey, check this out. Well, look over here. Safety, 6 feet COVID, 2 years ago. Okay, come on. Seriously. This girl is trying to make every situation look like Joe planned this all out. I think that's what it shows there. Joe planned this all out, and he's a devious master. I'm like, no, this is just common sense stuff. So, she could have at any time said that she had a boyfriend. Anytime she could have just told that. She doesn't do that. She withholds information, and she just goes along with Joe on this whole ride. Never did she express her disinterest or not wanting to be there and wanting to leave. She never expresses that until at the very end. And now she's saying that I didn't have money, and I'm not going to expect anyone to pay for it. Well, we find out that Joe does pay for things, and that his YouTube managers do pay for things. So it's like she doesn't pay for anything. So I don't know what she is concerned about here. I get it, but this is her trying to paint herself as a innocent victim. Like, I'm an independent girl. I agreed to come here, and yeah, she did agree to come here, and I agreed to come to dinner. Yeah, you did agree to come to dinner. I don't expect anyone to pay for it. So if you agree to this dinner and you're worried about your money and you don't expect anyone to pay for you, yet you're concerned about blowing your money. And it's like, dude, then just don't eat anything, and you get something cheap. Get something, the cheapest thing they have there, at the very least. If you're that concerned, and why you hell did you agree to come to dinner? And if you don't expect them to pay for it, and then why, are you just you shouldn't have agreed to go on to something you can't afford to do. And that's just it. If you can't afford dinner, then don't go to dinner. So, she doesn't recognize anyone there. I'm like, why would you? He never said who was going there with him, and she never asked that I know of. And so, how are you going to recognize anyone there? Other than Joe? Other Joe, maybe he might have been there. I don't know. It doesn't say who was all there, but it's why would you expect to know anyone there? So here she has this networking meeting, and apparently Joe's having this network meeting, and he's introducing her to his network partners and managers, and getting her to get known by them, so that they can possibly help her out, and maybe he's doing her a good favor, and this could be a good intention that he has. And this is the problem with us guys. Even if you have really good intentions, this could all bite you in the ass. So now guys are more. This is things that girls should be mad about. Girls should be mad about because it's going to ruin your dating future. Because girls like this, telling fake stories, false accusations, and trying to paint every guy that's trying to do something, demonize them for it. This is going to hurt your relationships in the future. This is going to hurt your chances to be with someone in the future. So, she tells one of Joe's executives that she does not have any business cards. We find out that's a lie as well. And later on, she's handing out business cards later on. She's not handing out this guy. She says that she doesn't have any. That's a lie. And we find out she continuously lies. And she was looking at her dinner most of the time, unless she became a relevant conversation in this. So there are problems with this in itself. It tells me, I have a question, is that what was her expectation of this dinner? what did she expect to happen in this dinner? It tells me that it seems like this girl's just disappointed that the dinner wasn't about her, and she examples this through like Angry Joe didn't name her, and she was mad about that. It seems like staring at the plate until she got brought up into attention, and she tried to be on the phone, but Angry Joe says it's rude to be on the phone, which it is. When you're at the dinner table, you don't want to be rude and take out your phone and just be not paying attention to everyone there, especially businesses. Like when you have a manager in your corporation or your bosses are there too, and you want to make sure you make a good impression and pull out your phone and being disinterested into their conversation is pretty rude. And that she'll lie to the managers. And here's another thing. She states this as a lunch. She states this as a lunch. I thought they were going out to dinner. Now, this could be a messed up mistake on words, but we don't know how long that she was in that hotel for. I mean, how I know that this could be the next day. I mean, I'm not saying it is, but, I mean, it doesn't, why is she calling this a lunch? It's a dinner. So that's my question on that part. Well, is this a lunch or is this a dinner? Now, let's have that confirmation there. It doesn't say, and that's my problem with that. So 5 hours has passed since when? She said 5 hours has passed since when? Since the dinner, since she ditched Alan. Since when did 5 hours have passed? I don't know. I don't know. She says that she knows that this is when Angry Joe's going to take her to Whiskey's, and says that, and she's all like excited about going to Whiskey's, and like, oh, Alan's there and has a big party there, and there are people there, and then he gets there to the Whiskey's, and she's like, wait, this is a smaller Whiskey's, and it's like, well, surprise, there are two. Wait, Joe, why would Joe say that? Have the feeling that there are two Whiskey's. Like, he didn't say this is the Whiskey's we're at. Why would he say he had to point out there's two Whiskey's? And I just happen to be the one, go to the one that your friend Alan is not at, because somehow Angry Joe knows where Alan is at all times and which one he's going to be. So he deliberately took you to another Whiskey's. And here's another thing. She makes a joke out of this. Like, she makes a joke. She claims that Joe whisked her inside. Whisked her in Whiskey's. Ha! Ha ha. That what a joke. That is ridiculous. Why would you make a joke out of something that's traumatized you? Okay, if this is traumatizing to her, this is like a serious event that hurt her and disturbed her, why the hell are you making a joke about it? And he took her purse and a cell phone from her and gave it to another person that somehow stashed it away where she couldn't find it for several hours. I mean, several hours in my mind, 7 hours or so. It's like, so how long was this again? So she hands out her business cards to all the people there, a lot of people there. So suddenly she has business cards that she didn't have, and she hands them out. I had to do what I need to do. What the fuck is that mean? What the hell does that mean? I had to do what I needed to do. What does that mean? What does that mean? Joe had his hands around you the entire time. Hey guys, I had to move away from my workshop that I had over there, and obviously now you can tell that my eyes have been swollen like for the last day. I don't know, allergies or something. So I ran out of space on my phone, so I had to deal with that, and so I decided I had to come back and redo it here in person, and well, I'll start back where I left off. There's a lot of things I want to kind of touch up on that kind of messed up on a little bit on, but we'll work on it. So let's go back to where Joe's at this party with this girl at Whiskey's, and she's claiming that Joe had his hands around her the entire time. First off, we have a lot of problems with this girl. I mean, Angry Joe tells her, hey, I need, supposedly from what her story says, she says that Angry Joe's told her to, that he had to pretend that she was his girl, at the dinner with his executives, and that and when he comes to this party with whiskey, he's acting like she is his girlfriend. He has his hands all over her. Not one point does she ever show any opposition to anything going on ever since they got started. Ever since, from the moment Angry Joe pulled her out away from her Alan, um, she's never showed any opposition, any indication that she's not interested, unwillingness to be a participant in all this. She never tells him about her boyfriend. I mean, at this point, especially at this point, he has her hands all over you. You already know that he asked you to sleep, like to go and join him in the shower, and he has his hands all over you, and you're not thinking, hey, maybe this is a good time to tell him that you have a boyfriend. It's not a good time to tell him that. Like, hey, can you, if you weren't interested in your boyfriend and you don't care about him, it's like, hey, can you just hey, can we slow this down a little bit? No, we're kind of going really fast. Can we just backtrack this? Can you keep your hands off to yourself? Can you be, keep to yourself, and please, I'm uncomfortable with the situation. I'm uncomfortable with this touching. Just do something. All right. And then, this whole thing about her grabbing her, she can't find her phone. She doesn't know where her phone is. Doesn't know where her purse is or anything like that. I feel like that's BS. It's a whiskey bar. Who takes your phone and purse? Where are they gonna put it? All right. That doesn't make sense. It's like her purse has been taken away from her, and her phone was taken away from her. Joe says that. I read Joe's statement, since he said that she was out there taking pictures and exchanging phone numbers here and all that. That could be evidence. And look, if you go. And what she's doing, she's she's turning it off her Twitter. So there could have been evidence there, and that she was trying to cover up. I don't know if that's the case, but it kind of seems like you go to a big bar and they're gonna take your purse and phone and put it where? A locker or something like that? Is there a locker there? Anyways, it sounds weird. And then I eventually grabbed my phone. I thought she didn't have her phone. Alright, she eventually says, I eventually grabbed my phone and went outside. Where did she find her phone all of a sudden? How did she find her phone? She says she didn't know who took it, and then where to put it, and all of a sudden she finds it. That doesn't make any sense. I've gone back on this before. Where are the details in this? You're missing out detailed information that are crucial to your story, and you want to have your story all worked out before you go out and make a public accusation like this. No, make sure your story is straight. Put it under some scrutiny for yourself. Put some scrutiny to it. Challenge it. Is there anywhere I could have done better on this decision? Is there anything that could have been misunderstanding on my part? Is there any part where I could have avoided this situation? Yes, there's a lot of that. You could have told him from the very beginning that you had a boyfriend. Didn't bother to tell him that. And that would have been the big indication of that everything could have been handled differently if this is actually true. Not one point does she ever say she has a boyfriend. Alright. So her phone comes out of her asshole now. Alright? Gordon Freeman all the way. Okay. Joe spun her around. Seriously. It just... spin the Phantom of the Opera. Let's have a dance-off. Alright. Joe spins her around and starts interrogating, right? Because he's asking her questions. Now he is, like a bad guy. Now here's sort of she's trying to paint him in the bad way. She's using words of him asking questions as interrogation. You may have said,
her name, Ashley, what are you doing out here? And she just spun around and looked at him, and he's like, what? Who are you talking to? And then it was like, and she was like, oh no, he's interrogating me, and she lies, and she goes here, and it's a complete lie. Everything right here is gonna be a lie. She lies when asked about who she was talking to. She says Alan when it was her boyfriend, so she lied. She says that's a lie. No, it wasn't Alan. It was her boyfriend. He asked your boyfriend, and she says this. She's like, "Oh, I'm lie again," and I had to lie and say no or something like that. All right. I'm like, wait a minute. So, Angry Joe asked you if Alan is your boyfriend. You say you lie and say no. Wait, is Alan your boyfriend or is he not your boyfriend? I mean, that's not a lie to say no to him asking you if Alan is your boyfriend. I mean, unless I'm reading that wrong. No, unless I'm reading that wrong, there's no lie there. So, what does that tell me? It tells me she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. She says she lies about Alan being her boyfriend. This is not her boyfriend. Okay, so does that mean Alan is your boyfriend? Is that what you're trying to say? And then she says she lies about when she's talking to her boyfriend when he asked Alan. So obviously, what, you have two boyfriends now? Is this the type of person you are? You have two boyfriends? Because this is what the statement kind of reveals here. It's like, are you revealing to me that you're a boyfriend? You have two boyfriends? I mean, I can overlook this and say, well, this is probably a misunderstanding. Like, she's failed to communicate this effectively to the reader. And this is another problem. Again, this is a big problem with her. She fails to communicate things accurately. She fails to detail information well. You need to have some sort of objective, like, hey, I'm not here just to paint Angry Joe as a bad person. What's the point of all this? When are you becoming a victim? When did Angry Joe force you against her will? When is this going to be a matter at all? I mean, all of this is telling me is like, oh, Angry Joe is just you just had a bad date with Angry Joe, and that's it. I mean, that's what it basically tells me. It's like, well, if you have a bad date with Angry Joe, just don't ever go out with him again. There you go. It's simple and easy. I mean, that's what most girls do. If they have a really bad date and they really don't like it, what happened, and they just like, you know what, there's someone else out there I would just rather date, go out with, spend my time with, and get into know. It's like, I wasted 8 hours, and like sometimes I'm like, dude, you wasted 8 hours. You could have left at any moment, yet you didn't. And 8+ hours. I don't know how many hours this is. I don't know. Originally she said 5 hours went by. Now it's several hours went by since she lost her phone and purse. And then what's next? So like, I don't know how long this whole thing is going. So, anyways, so we get her to lie, and since she says, yes, she's a boyfriend, blah blah blah. No, wait, the claim Alan is drunk. Okay. So it comes into this lie again. Oh, Alan is drunk. No way to really. I mean, come on. Now you're making the story you're lying to Joe to get out of a situation. It's like, he's probably catching on at this point, like, because one, you've been acting weird, awkwardly all just throughout this entire thing. You've been acting out awkwardly, like you're that awkward girl that's standing out in front of the hotel, that awkward girl that sits next to him, the awkwardness, and also, dude, you wanted to be there, you were eager to be there, and now you're being awkward about being there, now you're being strange about being there, now you like pretend. It's like, and we don't have no way to really prove this. And like, what happens if you're at the party, you're flirting with all these type of guys out there, you're giving them their business card that you supposedly didn't have, and you're just like, and maybe Joe just feels like, he thought you were here on a date with him, and yet, and you don't show anything that indicates otherwise. You don't tell him the opposition. You don't resist. You don't tell him about your boyfriend. You don't tell him about anything. You know, so and how is he supposed to know? So maybe you're misleading him to the very like at the point. I wonder if you're just deliberately misleading him, so that you can get contacts. And I mean, that's what I kind of see that. I can see how he can perceive that, and that's what he does perceive eventually, because he's like, well, apparently from what her says, he's like, well, angry Joe gets mad. Eventually, everything in the final moments, she collected a lot of business cards. Never told Joe if her boyfriend doesn't want to be with Joe, and never tells him. Okay, I'm just reading my own notes here. So she never tells him about the boyfriend. Never sets any boundaries or express discomfort or uncomfortable situations. She liked to Joe, and her explanation. She does not. Oh yeah. So she explains to Joe like her, you know, everything supposedly, which is probably likely. I mean, so far that we've seen her explanation to Joe has been a complete lie. So why would I expect anything else to be different? And Joe gets upset because I mean, rightfully so. Joe is upset. He's done all this for you. He's did this with you. He took you out on date, and he took all of this. You said you would come. You were eager. You like the whole night. You've been awkward. You've been rude. You've been, you haven't. You just been resentful. You've been withholding information, and I mean, from my point, I like look at you writing this. It's like it shows to me like, hey. Maybe you are after networking. Maybe you were trying to use Joe for gains, and it didn't work out for you. So now you're telling this fake story to try to build a victimhood. Because let's go back to where it was like when you said you were inspired by other girls coming out, and you had nothing to lose to do. So don't tell me you have everything to gain. So it's kind of awkward. Where you're saying, oh, I have nothing to lose coming out of the story. Yeah, well, you kind of do. Now now it's trying to bit you in the ass. And so it's like, well, you have nothing to lose, so you lost your channel thing. So you lost our fans or your followers. And you might gain some more, I don't know. You might gain those soy boys coming at you because they want to believe every single woman for every single reason because they're just thirsty for pussy. So here's the thing. Joe acts like a gentleman. I mean, believe it or not, Joe acts like a gentleman right here. It says Joe offers to pay for her cab to go home. I mean, that's it. I mean, he didn't get what he wanted. He didn't get what he was expecting. He made his case, and he offered, and she didn't want it, and she didn't respect it. And he said, "All right, I will offer you a pay for your cab to go home. I don't mean to be an inconvenience to you." And she just, says, no, I don't want him to know where I live. It's like, dude, you don't have to tell the cab driver. You don't have to tell Angry Joe where you live. You don't have to tell the cab driver where exactly you live or where you're staying at in the Airbnb. You don't have to give him those. You don't have to give him those details. He doesn't have to be there when you tell him that. It's stupid. Or you can go somewhere next to it. It's not going to stalk you. This guy's not going to stalk you. If he's been drinking, he's drunk a little bit, he's not going to come after you during the night. That's just dumb. That's a dumb assumption. This guy's just trying to be, of course he's going to be. This thing is like, he took up the plate, he took he offered her a way out, pay for her to go home because he wanted her to get home safe, and she said no. She said, I'm gonna do it myself, whatever. Of course, I didn't realize at that point. It's like, whatever, I'm gonna walk back inside and just like, fuck this girl. Like, seriously, at this point, screw her. Who cares? What was the big deal? To try to ruin his life and sponsors and stuff, because she comes after. She contacts esports. She contacts his managers, and then about this situation. All right, trying to hurt his reputation, trying to hurt his sponsorship, trying to hurt put a divide between him and his company for this I would say, bad date. And for what crime? Like, did he throw himself? Did he at any time force her against her will? Like, at no point does she show that she's not willingly participating in all this. She's willingly participated in all this. He has done this before, I have no doubt. Yes. How do you know he has done this before? What are the facts that you know that he has done this before? And how do you know he's using his status or whatever to woo girls over? I mean, take a girl out. Oh, yeah, this is what I wrote. No, he has done this before, I have no doubt. And I asked, take a girl out on a date for hours, hung out for hours with them? I'm pretty sure that he has done that before, I guess. Like, hanging out with a girl, taking the girl out, doing stuff for the girl, buying her dinner, and saying, oh, sure, why not? Who doesn't do that? No, I've taken the girl out, and I paid for her dinner, I've done, we hung out for hours and had a good conversation. Sometimes things didn't go well. No, sometimes things didn't work out the way I would like. Other things don't. Other times it did. So like when you get good dates and you get bad dates, you realize you're not the person that you want to be with. Like, hey, and I'm not romantically. I guess I can't see myself romantically with you. Okay, that's fine. Just move on. That's just one date. Or a couple of dates, whatever. Just whenever you find out, that's when you gotta make that decision. All right. This problem is this girl didn't make Joe aware of anything at all, and she has too many assumptions about everything. It never sets any boundaries. That's the biggest problem. Okay, so everything he did has a reason. Okay, yeah, sure. I mean, everything you do has a reason to it. It doesn't mean it's a good reason. Doesn't mean it's a bad reason. It's just there's a reason why we do things in life. It's just maybe it's a habit, maybe it's just our nature type of thing, or maybe we just don't know better and we just need to be corrected and learn over time. There's a lot of things that has a reason to. But what she's trying to do is paint him as some sort of mastermind, like he planned every single detail from the very beginning. He's somehow the one who kidnapped from the time he kidnapped her away from Alan. Right? It's like somehow he knew Alan right there was her friend, and he kidnapped her and dragged her along the long corridor with security, preventing Alan from rescuing her or whatever, or her going to Alan and or being a good friend and saying, hey, this is my friend, I need to make sure I go, if he doesn't come, I'm not going to come, type of thing. Well, how about that? Be a good friend. But she's just trying to use Angry Joe here as some sort of mastermind, control freak, and he controls her, and that he was he deliberately went to the hotel to try to get some with her, and she didn't, and that other Joe just somehow disappeared some point during the interaction. That he took a picture on her with her on the bed, just so that he can say he got with this girl. And like, well, where's the evidence of that? Did he post it on his Twitter? Did he post it online? Is there post to prove that? And like, here's another thing. Maybe the story's all made up, and she went with him and slept with him, and then her boyfriend's upset about it, and she's like, oh no, this is not what happened. I don't know what happened. This is a fake. This is a story that is written with lies, fabrication, exaggeration, paranoia. This sounds paranoia. This sounds like she's paranoid. She has a mental health issue problem. She doesn't understand the facts that the people have to, people in life can get interested, ask you on a date, and how the flirting works or wooing works. She doesn't understand that. She thinks it's sexual assault or something, or rape. I don't know. So she has nothing to lose but everything to gain. I've said this before. Claims Joe is a sexual predator who uses his status to coerce girls into sex and sexual activities. What proof is there for this accusation? There is none. Not even here. You can say, well, he has status, and he takes pride in his status, and he was telling me and boasting about his work and stuff like that. So he's flexing. He is telling about his success in life and what Okay, so what girl is interested in a guy who tells like, here's all my failures, woe is me, no one is interested in me, no one wants me, my pathetic life has always been a failure, I can never do anything right, I can never get anywhere. Wallows in self-pity. Is that attractive to girls? No, it's not attractive to girls. Girls like the idea that someone's successful. They like the idea that someone's pursuing success and is, has a status of because girls want to be and want to date up most of the time. They want to be in a stable relationship where the guy's well off, the guy is successful, the guy is moving forward. There's very few girls out there who says, I genuinely love and care for a person and I want to be with that person just because of a good heart. I mean, a lot of guys are judged on their success, their achievements, that's what it is. And that's what, if anything, that's what maybe what Joe is doing is just flexing his success to make himself more appealing to the girl. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like, well, but if that's the thing, if you're not interested in that, then fine, great, more power to you. A good thing that you can make a decision on beyond them being just a successful, well-off status person. Like, not every girl is like that. Like, girls will say, well, you're Angry Joe, I will sleep with you. It doesn't mean that he's a sexual predator for that. If the girls do that, then that's on them. That's their decision. And, like, being the flex on your status, being like a movie star example, and having girls like want to sleep with you, it's not uncommon for the very least. And I don't see any proof of this sort of accusation that he's some sort of sexual predator. I don't even see this in this. Like he's sexually trying to guilt trip this girl. Like, even if he says, hey, you need to come back with me, at least you should do is come back with me. Okay, and most that is. I mean, I guess you can take it. You can look at it as a way of sexual, but then there's also another way you can look at it as, it's also disrespectful to just ditch your date at the event and just leave without him, because it's like, hey, we can at least leave here and keep my dignity and respect and reputation, and go our separate ways when we get back to wherever we were. So that's another way to look at that. It doesn't mean it has to be a negative sexual thing of him expecting to have sex because he did all this for you. That's a jump. That's a jump. That's really jumping the conclusions there. And so, in my mind, my conclusion with this girl is that she is bloody hell weak. She is a weak person who cannot stand up for herself, who is withholding information that is valuable for the other person's and party's knowledge on where they can go in their boundaries. She doesn't set any boundaries. She doesn't even mention her boyfriend having one. She doesn't show any opposition, resistance, or she's willingly ditches her so-called friend. She makes assumptions about everything, doesn't clarify any of her assumptions. Like, hey, if you have an assumption or you have a thought of this may be what he's doing, why don't you just freaking ask and clarify it? And then you don't have to ask every single assumption, but at least address some assumptions, like who are we going to dinner with? Where is this dinner going? If you're so concerned about it being expensive, why didn't you ask that in the first place? Like, hey, are we going for dinner? Is this an expensive place? Did you look up on online? Did you use your phone? All right. I mean, at the very worst, this is a bad date, and you could have left at any moment. or mention your boyfriend. You know, it's really pathetic to play victim over this. Um, so this whole incident is her playing victim, and that somehow Angry Joe's a sexual predator. All right, first off, how guys are supposed to approach women these days? Like, are you gonna like how are we supposed to approach women? We can't hit on them. We can't flirt with them. We can't woo them over. We can't ask them out without being criminalized as a sexual predator. It's like this is not sexually a predator thing. This is just a man, you know, who like apparently from what she says, this is a man just you know tried to. Treat her out to a date or something. I'm like, oh, maybe try to sleep with her once. Like, try to invited her to have sex in the shower with him. It's like, okay, well, that's, I mean, you still stayed with him. You still there. And you're like, I don't know where all the, I don't know what to think of this. This is just beyond stupid. Accusations like this put more of a divide between men and girls. So it's like the girls who want actually have a good relationship with someone that wants guys to approach them and ask them out and have it and build a relation with someone. This type of thing discourages guys to ask out girls. And honestly, like Angry Joe and any guy out there, you gotta be careful. You gotta stay in public. Even look, Joe isn't out in the public area, but he did take her to his hotel, and that was a problem. Other Joe was there, but where did other Joe go? And it's like, so it's like even asking, having a girl out in public is not always a good thing either. And it's like you gotta be careful about what girl you pursue. You gotta be smart. You gotta be cautious. You gotta take because all it takes is one false allegation to ruin your life as a man. And who's gonna believe you? This girl wants me to believe her just the fact that she's a woman. I'm like, I'm not gonna believe you because you're a woman. I'm gonna believe what I'm gonna read what you said. I'm gonna come to a conclusion based off the logic you make, the facts that you point out, which are no facts really, and the logical conclusion behind it. It's like there's a lot of questions in this paper and a lot of things that are incoherent and highly questionable. And one of the things I was really I noticed on her information is that she says United States Marine Corps veteran. Now, is it her boyfriend if a veteran, or is she a veteran, or she just support veterans? I mean, if her boyfriend's a United States Marine Corps veteran or a United States Marine Corps personnel, I mean, it was Alan to him. Alan really, his name Jody. Is that the Jody that her boyfriend forgot to remember when he was in the Marine Corps when she's without Jody? No, okay. If she's a Marine vet, I mean, are you telling me a Marine vet woman doesn't know the hell way men act and behave and all that shit? And it's like, dude, you're stuck with them for a long time. You at some point gotta realize, hey, this guy's into me. No, it's not. It shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be rocket science to realize, hey, this person just invited me to go into the shower with him. Maybe he is interested in me. Or maybe she's Canadian. Maybe he's friendly for a Canadian, I guess. And if you're a Marine, you gotta have some sort of toughness to be able to stay. Hey, no, I don't appreciate this. I want to stand up for my friend. I don't want to go with you. I don't want to be here. I have a boyfriend. I'm not here for sex. I'm not here for anything. So, bottom line is that this story doesn't make sense. It sounds full of holes. It's incoherent. There's a lot of missing details. She goes to a lot of assumption. Sounds like she already paints herself as a liar in this entire thing. So, like, how am I going to expect her to be telling me the truth, telling the audience the truth of what happened? It's like you don't establish credibility. You don't establish yourself as a like you put in grounds on this. This is all questionable stuff. And honestly, no one in their right mind should believe her. That's it.